Juventus 11 points clear, but the important positions haven't changed too much. Atalanta held to a point. They are now tied with Inter on 66. The two of those just a point ahead of Milan. Roma a further 2 points back. So it's down to those four now trying to get the last two spots. And next week's games, well, let's focus on the Milan teams. Inter seem to have the inside track, don't they? A very winnable home game against Empoli. And mind you, AC Milan will fancy their chances having to travel to Spal. Roma have Parma at home, so it's all in the melting pot, as they say. Let's bring Gab Marcotti in. Gab, who's good when the dust settles? Who do you think is going to be left standing in the Champions League spots?
Well, look, obviously Atalanta and Inter have the edge on paper, right? Because they have the point lead, so they control their destiny. I would strongly disagree with you to say that the Empoli game is very winnable, for the simple reason that Empoli need points to survive. They're 1 point above the relegation zone. They're competing with Genoa to stay up. Genoa away to Fiorentina. So I think this is going to be a really, really, really tough game for Inter. Again, they should win because they have better players. But certainly, it's a much, much tougher task than Milan away to Spal or Atalanta taking on Sassuolo.
Which way do you see it going, guys? Atalanta almost had those extra 2 points, and they had it snatched away.
But I think in the end, if you're Atalanta going to Juventus, I think you take the point. That is a positive result. Of course, the way the game progressed, you might have thought, okay, we'll get 3 points here and we're set. Not so, but I still think it's a valuable point for Atalanta. And it's one that in the end I think is going to make a difference for them. Atalanta gets in. What you saw from Inter today was discouraging on so many levels. You're needing results. You need points. And there were moments in that second half where defensively you just saw a team that you say, you know what, we're not feeling it. Forget it. Just go ahead, walk in, score the goals. When you have that sort of attitude, that sort of mindset, it's difficult to make an argument for a team like this. However, if it's about talent, then you would think that Inter would be good enough to get the result that they need. They're going to squeeze in, maybe back their way into a top four position. I think still Atalanta and Inter.
As Gab points out, Empoli fighting for their Serie A lives. Perhaps not the sort of team you want to be playing, but...
No, but you give Inter the opportunity to play against Empoli, and Champions League berth is what's at stake. You take that. I agree with Ali. What you saw from Inter today, desperately disappointing. On the converse of that, Atalanta just a point against crown champions Juventus, but deserved a whole lot more. So they come into their game against Sassuolo with... playing with more confidence, playing better football in all honesty. And despite AC Milan's late push now, right, I just think it's going to be too little, too late. I think Atalanta and Inter grab those last two spots.
The top four stays
as
it is. Little bit of a curious item before the game, Gab. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo getting presented with some sort of trophy. We called it an inverted commas MVP. It wasn't really an MVP award. What's your understanding as to what this was, Gab?
So this is a new award. It's a series of awards, actually, that Serie A has decided to give out in collaboration with their statistical and analytics and match tracking partners. They came up with some sort of complicated statistical formula, which, hey-ho, funny enough, made Cristiano Ronaldo the most valuable player. I can see the logic before everybody sneers there. 22 goals, I think 12 or 13 assists off the top of my head. It's hard to argue with that. They did give out a whole bunch of awards. Quagliarella, the best striker. Koulibaly, the best defender. Nobody's going to argue with those. Some might argue a little bit with the goalkeeper, Handanovic, and especially in midfield, Milinkovic-Savic winning the best midfielder award.
For more, sign up now for ESPN+.